Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Friday, January 20th. It's Inauguration Day, and yes, Donald J. Trump is now President of the United States. We're still broadcasting from Arkansas so far. Check me Monday to see if we've still managed to survive. Mr. Trump was inaugurated with a 16-and-a-half-minute speech that was largely a pastiche of clips of familiar phrasing from his campaign time. He said that it's time for the American people to assume control. They're going to be the rulers of America again, the little forgotten guys. He talked about how a small group in Washington and politicians had profited while the working man had not. He's filled a cabinet full of those insider kind of people, but maybe they're going to have a way to redistribute some of their wealth in the days ahead. Hillary Clinton was there with Bill Clinton at the celebration and comported herself quite well. It was a class act. She said she wanted to make a statement for unity of the country going forward in a tweet right before the event. And so I think she'll get a good review from that. Donald Trump used, again, a phrase he used in his campaign, America First. It appears prominently on his website now at the White House. This is an unfortunate use of phrase, I think. There was a group called American First that was anti-Semitic and opposed the entry of America into World War II against Nazi Germany. I think he probably could have chosen a better phrase. I hope it wasn't intentional to evoke some of those bad old days. The words climate change, speaking of key words, no longer appear on the White House website as they did during the days of Barack Obama. I do think that we're going to see some quick action on executive orders and actions that shows Donald Trump is no Barack Obama. These are the things that are far more important than words and deeds in an inaugural speech, what he does as president and what's rolled back and what's instituted in a new administration are what we're going to have to watch closely. I think I should note that the crowd for the Trump inauguration was puny, not even half the size of the Obama crowds of the last two times or any of the presidents before them. Maybe his people were all working, as he said. They couldn't afford to be at the inaugural, given how times are hard for them. There are going to be divisions. Donald Trump did repeat his talk about being a protectionist when it comes to trade, that it's going to be buy American, hire American. He's not looking to advance trade across the borders. Asa Hutchinson, in the remarks in Washington, he was at the inaugural, said he has some concerns about this. Arkansas is a state that through agriculture and major corporations like Tyson and Walmart have a great deal of interest in international trade and depend on it, and some of his policies could be very damaging to them. We'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, back home in Arkansas, the news for the time being is good. The unemployment rate in December was 3.9%. That ties a record low. We're doing fairly well. We don't make a high income, but people were near full employment, and that's a good thing. There was an interesting article I want to mention that I put on the Arkansas blog this morning. There was a major New York Times piece earlier this week, and it was mentioned prominently at the legislature this week when the committee gave approval to a bill that would ban the use of food stamps, the SNAP program, on unhealthy food like soft drinks and cookies. There's been some revisionist look at this story. It's just not true that people on welfare drink soft drinks more than other people do. The way people buy groceries are just about the same whether you're on government subsistence or not. And so I think we need to put that aside, that if people are unhealthy, it's not something that's just restricted to poor people. There was a great meeting at Wilson School last night, and there was great coverage of it, both in words by Benji Hardy and pictures by Brian Chilson on the Arkansas Times blog this morning, and I urge you to go there and take a look. An impassioned group of citizens reacting to the news that their school is going to be closed. Wilson is a school that has succeeded academically, even though it's nearly all poor families, and about a quarter of them don't speak English as a first language. Remarkable achievement by that school that's now going to be blown up and gone away. Johnny Key, the state education commissioner who runs Little Rock Schools, was there looking very uncomfortable. He didn't say a word. People want him to talk. He's asking the voters of the city to approve $500 million in new taxes, and he won't say anything about how he views the continued expansion of charter schools, which he's supported, in the past. There's a new bill at the legislature that could take dozens of more kids from the Little Rock School District because there's a school voucher program to spend $10 million in Arkansas to let kids go to untested private schools, including religious schools, and not even be tested to see if they're doing okay. Not the same standards that's being applied to Little Rock, which was taken over by the state because of some poor scores by students at schools that, yes, are made up mostly entirely of poor students who come from difficult homes. So there's some answers from the state that have not been forthcoming. They weren't forthcoming last night, but most of all, read the heartfelt words of some really wonderful families who like what they're getting at Wilson School and see it being taken away from them. In Texas yesterday, a federal judge stopped the state of Texas from halting payments to Planned Parenthood for non-abortion services. Texas, like Arkansas, wants to put Planned Parenthood out of business, although it's the first line of medical service services for many women, for services not related to abortion, for family planning particularly, and we know that if you don't get pregnant, you don't have to have an abortion, and yet the Republicans want to take that money away from Planned Parenthood. And finally, tomorrow is Pink Pussycat Day, so get out your movie theme and get out your pink hat and go down to near the Capitol in Little Rock, or for those of you who are en route to Washington, I hope you have a good trip. This is the Women's March that vows that equal rights and diversity and lots of important things. A lot of Americans won't be forgotten in the era of Trump. I look forward to a big crowd. Who knows, maybe they'll have as big a crowd in Washington tomorrow as Donald Trump had today for his own inauguration. That would be a nice sight, 200,000 or so pink pussycat hats on parade. I'm Max Brantley. I won't be back next week. I'm getting ready to take some time off, but there'll be others here manning the camera. I'll see you.